Hi, Nikki Lee Taylor here. Welcome to OUTscene. Today we are speaking to writer-director James Rasin of The Beautiful Darling, The Life and Times of Candy Darling, Andy Warhol's superstar. This is the film to see an objective, true-life view of not only a beautiful and talented star, but an actual role model and pioneer for transsexuals, at a time when putting on a pair of hose meant risking jail, literally. James, nice to see you.
Thank you. Nice to see you again.
Thank you. Well, what interested you about Candy Darling to want to make this film?
Well, many things. I mean, I'd always, on a personal level, been grew up under the kind of shadow of New York in the 60s and Warhol Factory and the Velvet Underground and everyone associated with that time period in New York City. And then just on a thematic storytelling level, I mean, she's such a compelling character, and her journey, her story is one that I found to be very inspiring, and in some ways, you know, really kind of leaps out of kind of the great American kind of story, myth making in a way of, you know, someone who comes from somewhere and has a dream about who they are, who they want to become, and they set out to achieve that dream and take this journey of discovery and transformation and self-invention, which leads them on a very interesting path, and usually ends up tragically in the great, you know, literary scenarios. And Candy kind of in some ways ended up tragically, in some ways ended up attaining so many great things.
That's what I really enjoyed about the film, is you showed it in a very objective way and you just let the story kind of tell itself. So was there anything in your research that surprised you about Candy?
Well, I mean, it was all very surprising. I mean, I think that reading through her diaries and really finding out, I guess anytime you read through someone's diaries, you feel like you're almost invading them a little bit. But, you know, her sense of humor about herself, her awareness of what she was doing and what it took to achieve what she was doing and how difficult it was, and also having a sense of humor about that. And also just the sacrifice that she had to make and what she went through to, you know, to have those dreams and achieve those dreams.
Sure. Now, people weren't so politically correct in the days of Candy with labels.
Mm.
And recently, in different publications I've read, some call Candy Darling a transsexual, others call her a transvestite. How do you think she would react to that, and what's your take on that?
Well, it's pretty hard for me to say how she would react. I don't think Candy was a very political person or thought in those terms at all. I mean, she just saw herself as a movie star, you know, and a beautiful movie star. You know, they didn't have the word transgender back then, which seems to be the word that everyone uses now. So I think that she just thought of herself as a beautiful woman. You know?
Well, that's great. If Candy was just starting, you know, if Candy was just starting her career today, do you think things would be different? Do you think society's views on transsexuals have changed?
They probably changed a little bit. I mean, I wasn't there then. I guess we all like to think that there's some kind of evolution of consciousness, but I'm not so sure that's really true. I mean, I guess people are a little bit more accepting because I think maybe in certain places people feel more comfortable being who they are, and so therefore people are kind of forced to, you know, recognize that. Maybe they aren't so hidden as they were. But you know, one of Candy's great dreams was to be married and have a husband and a family and children, and you know, even now today it would be illegal for her to do that. So I mean, how much have things changed really?
Yeah, good point. You know, watching the film, a lot of people talked about a certain mystique, a certain je ne sais quoi, a certain something undefinable it that she had that attracted a lot of talented, creative people to her.
Mm-hmm.
Andy Warhol, of course, and Tennessee Williams even recreated a role for her to star in.
Mm-hmm.
Can you try to define that undefinable it?
Well, I mean, that undefinable it is what makes a star, right? I mean, it's just either you have it or you don't. But I think also that, you know, people were taken by her honesty, and her kind of, I would almost say, almost kind of naive ambitions. I mean, she's obviously very ambitious, but I think people were struck by, here's just someone who's just out there living their life. And, you know, I was struck by a lot of people would say, you know, Candy was the most genuine person I ever met. And I was like, that's so odd. I mean, someone who was a complete artifice in a way. Everything she was, you know, even as a woman, it was about image, style. And so how is someone who is a complete construct, a kind of like a piece of art in a way, which is artificial, it can also be one of the most genuine people you ever meet. So I think people were probably struck by just the purity of her quest and her honesty, and I think that she was very funny. People always talk about how great she was just to be around, and fun and beautiful, and she had a certain enigma. And I guess that, you know, most people always knew that there was more than meets the eye there. So there was, I think that's what it really attracted Warhol. It's kind of like it's real, but it's not real. What's real, what's not real. So there's many kind of ongoing layers that are in there. There's always that mystery. And she played up that mystery a lot too. I think that she felt that that's one of the qualities that makes a star, is a certain kind of remove a little bit of kind of what's really going on in there.
Right, and if you spend your childhood watching, you know, certain actresses that you really like, you end up, it can be kind of become a part of you.
Yeah.
So in the way there's a realness there that I think was really refreshing. So thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you, James, for joining us.
Thank you.
And make sure not to miss the last showing at SIFF Cinema, June 13th at 6:15. I hope I have that right.
I think that's right, yeah.
Okay. Thank you all for joining us.
Thank you. Thanks.